Welcome to Henry & Sons Incorporated for another Vemag Tech Tip video. Today we're going to be working with a Vemag HP-25E and we're going to be showing you how to remove the Infeed scroll drive motor, service it, and reinstall it. We've got some great tech tips for you in this video. But before I get started on that, I wanted to make you aware of the fact that we have some great new technology. It's called our zero contact double screw and housing design. If you're tired of buying screws and housings all the time because they're wearing out, the zero contact technology really prevents that from happening, makes a lot more consistent product weights across the board. So go to our website, dhenryandsons.com, click on the products tab. It's the first line item. It's called zero contact. Check that out. You'll definitely be impressed. So we're going to get started here on this tech tip video. We happen to have the hopper off of the machine. We're servicing that. This machine has a loader on it, so the arm is off as well. So first of all, you want to make sure you get this door pulled back around. This one's not too bad. A lot of times the cables prevent it from opening this far. So you can just take a tie down strap or a piece of rope and just pull it around and secure it out of your way because you're limited on space here. So get that out of your way. And then also we wanted to disconnect the main power and the fan wires, which I've already done. So when you take the covers off, make sure, just take your phone and take a photo. Make sure the wire markers are facing out. Take a photo of how it's wired on both boxes before you disconnect them. Just makes it easier when you hook it up. So we're gonna go ahead and get started on this video. First step is gonna be to remove your wires from the motor. There's typically two wires. You got your main power wire feed and you have your fan power wire feed here. So you wanna take the covers off, and before you disconnect either one of these boxes, make sure that the labels on the wires are facing outward before you disconnect them, and take a picture with your phone just so you have that documentation, and go ahead and loosen all these fittings up and you can just pull those out. That way the motor is completely untethered and it'll just come out nice and easy. All right, next we're going to talk about removing these socket head cap screws. These are a 12 millimeter by 1.75 socket head cap screw, and there's 4 of them up there. And these are difficult to get to, especially the one in the far back, and the far forward bolt is very difficult. So I'm going to go over some different tools that makes this job a lot easier. So you have your conventional ball Allen wrench here, and getting that up there is difficult because of this flange on the gearbox. So you can get this is a 10 millimeter Allen wrench. You can get a ball head with a 3/8 drive, or you can also, you're probably gonna have to modify this ball so you can get a little more angle on it. That's the most difficult part of these, is getting all those bolts cracked loose. And you can also take a piece of 10 millimeter hex stock and you can grind in your own relief and give yourself a little bit more access to these. And this is a special tool we made. You can grind down for a relief. Just makes it a lot easier. So I've already got these broken loose, and you can see just using a 10 millimeter regular socket, you can put that right on there like that. And then these guys go up here like that. That's an easy one. The one that's tough is the one that's back here, and the one that's up front there. This is really a difficult one, but it can be done if you make yourself the right tool. It makes it a lot easier. So you want to take out 3 of the bolts, leave 1 in, preferably this one that's the most accessible. Leave that one in. We're going to support that motor. Okay, now we need to talk about supporting this motor while we drop it. The best way that we've found to do this is with these airbag. These are called air shims. These things are great. You typically need 2 of them, and you can buy these online. They're very inexpensive. You just pump them up like that, and these things I think will hold 200 pounds. So they're a very, very useful tool in this instance. I'm gonna actually put both of them in there. And sometimes this fan down here has a radiused cast piece. Those are more difficult. This one actually has a flat bottom on it, which makes it easier. But if you have a radiused piece, sometimes when you get these bags pumped up, the motor will want to tip. So be aware of that. So we're gonna stack those on each other, centered on the motor. And we're just gonna pump them up. This is the cheat code on this job. These are truly amazing. Okay, pump them up good, just like that. So that motor is supported. Now, we're gonna go ahead and remove the last bolt. So we have all the bolts out of the flange. At this point, it's supported by these airbags. Another thing I wanted to mention, if you had a seal go out on the top of this gearbox at the top, it will leak product through these ports right here. The seal fails and the product is pushed down. And so in some extreme cases, this whole area would be just full of product. I've seen product all in these, packed in these frames. So you want to get in there before you start this project and clean all that product out. So I just wanted to make you aware of that. And so now we're going to go ahead and just drop this gearbox. You want to support it. The gear up there, the pinion gear, is still up in the housing, so it won't tip over. But as it comes down, it will become a little more wobbly. So just secure it, and then you can just let this down carefully. That's one bag. And the second bag. Be careful of this hopper safety wire, get that clear. As I said, it could be wobbly. Okay, so the gearbox is completely dropped, and now we can slide the whole thing out and get to it and service it, and then we'll basically repeat this process to install it. All right, this basically is a two-person job, so this motor's heavy. So you just want to put some cardboard under here to protect the motor. You're gonna pull it out. It has to come out on an angle because it's clearly this tall. Okay, so there's the motor out of the machine. And now we're gonna go ahead and support it under this fan, and we'll start working on this. All right, we've got all the grease cleaned off of this. And this is your sealing flange, this brass piece. There's an O-ring on the outside diameter, and then there's a oil seal on the inside. And if your cabinet's full of product, typically that oil seal fails, and then allows product to pass by. All right, so we're gonna crack this screw loose here. We're gonna pull this pinion gear. So there's a washer here with an O-ring on it. You wanna pull this off, use a pick that's curved. And that should come popping off there. O-ring on the outside. All right, we got all the grease cleaned off of here, roughly, so we can see what we're doing here. So there's two seals on this flange. There's an O-ring on the outside diameter, and there's an oil seal, this blue oil seal on the inside diameter. So if you do get product into your cabinet, usually the culprit is this blue oil seal that will fail, and that product will pass through that. So right now we're just we have a standard gear puller here. I like to put a bushing on here to protect that thread that holds the pinion gear on. So we're just gonna go ahead and pull this gear. So here we have the sealing flange. These are the seal. That's the seal I was talking of earlier, and the O-ring. So how this works is this pinion gear goes through the seal, and this dark gray is a hard coating where the seal rides. Otherwise, the seal would just dig into that steel that the gear is made from. So that's how the assembly works. So we definitely want to put new O-ring on there, put a new seal in here. This pinion gear actually looks pretty darn good. So looks like it was changed recently. Now we're gonna go ahead and pull this, this top housing off. All right, next we're gonna go ahead and pull this pinion drive housing off. There's 4 8mm bolts, hex head bolts, which requires a 13mm end wrench. You wanna pull these out. So get all these guys out. I've already broke them loose. And also make note that there's a bushing here. Make sure that doesn't go anywhere. You need to have that. So now I got these bolts out. Technically, this should just lift right off. One other thing I wanted to make note of is the orientation of this electrical box. When you put it up in the machine, it needs to be accessible. It was basically pointing out right here. So your orientation here, as far as clocking this, there's not really any clocking on this particular housing to this gearbox. On this one, the access port is here. I think you would want to have this access port here just so you can look in here to see the Lovejoy coupling. So now that we have all the bolts out, this should lift off. Little dead blow hammer. And then the Lovejoy coupling should separate just like that. So there's your Infeed drive housing, Infeed drive gearbox, and the Infeed drive motor. So we're gonna go through and check the bearings in this, make sure it's all okay. We have breakdowns on this in the book, and we also sell these complete. If you want to just do an exchange on it, you can send them in to us. We'll rebuild them for you and send you a fresh one ready to go. All right, we're just gonna go ahead and loosen up this Lovejoy coupling, which it's already broken loose. That's how you access the socket head cap screw. And you wanna take note that this is basically flush right here. This face is flush with the gearbox shaft. So before you pull it off, make a note of that. So now we'll go ahead and pull this out. Just gently push this off, just like that. Set it on your bench. There's a keyway, that's the bottom of the shaft. There's the lower bearing, there's a snap ring in there. So we're gonna show you how to just install new bearings in this. All right, we're back on the top side. So this bushing, you wanna make sure you take that off, set that aside. Now you wanna get some internal snap ring pliers and remove this top snap ring. That's gonna go there. And then we're gonna get this lower snap ring out here. Just like that. Snap rings have both been removed. The key can stay in there. That's not gonna hurt anything. And now we're gonna press this apart. Okay, we're ready to press this apart. Make sure your blocks are in as far as they can be here so you have full contact on this flange. These can break if you put too much pressure on it, but this should come apart pretty easily. And the shaft comes out just like that. We are now going to press the top bearing out with the driver here going straight through. Just like that. There's your spherical bearing that goes in the top. Now we're pressing the lower bearing. This is just a single roll bearing. This is the bottom bearing in the housing assembly. We're just gonna push that out like that. All right, we're gonna press the top spherical bearing in. Make sure the bearing is fully seated. And we're going to install a snap ring to contain that top spherical bearing. Now we're going to push the lower bearing into the housing. Bottom that out. And we're going to install the large snap ring underneath the lower bearing, just like that. Both bearings are installed, as well as bolts. We're going to press the shaft back into the bearings. Take that pressure off and let it align. Make sure the shaft is clearing, which it is. Till it stops. So now we're going to go ahead and put this bushing back on the top over here. There's no direction to it, it just slides on there. I'm going to put a little grease on there so it stays in place. And we're going to go ahead and put this Lovejoy coupling on. Make sure you line up that key. And that goes all the way up, so it's flush. Actually, you just bottom that all the way out against the shoulder. And we're gonna tighten up. The socket head cap screw. Go ahead and tighten that up. And now we're ready to assemble this back onto the gear head. Okay, we're gonna change the O-ring and the seal in this brass ring. So I'm gonna take the O-ring off, and then I'm just gonna gently put this in there. And I'm gonna take a punch and just knock the seal out very carefully. We're gonna push this seal in. Spring side always goes to the wet side or what you're sealing. So it's gonna go up. Reset that. Seat that seal. All right, the seal is in. We're gonna put our O-ring on here and we're gonna lubricate this really well. We like to use a good waterproof grease. It's the only lubrication the seal is ever going to see, really. Also, we want to lubricate this O-ring up real well. Okay, we're going to just check the oil in this gearbox. This is a fairly new motor, so I don't believe it needs to be changed. This is the sight glass, which it's kind of useless, but they put it in there. You can't really see much. So I like to pull the fill plug just to make sure we check oil level. And we got good clean oil in there. So as I said, this is a fairly new motor, so I think we're good to go. Although there is one issue with this gearbox, I'm going to go ahead and install this plug back in here. There's a breather right here, and this little rubber piece of O-ring material is for shipping purposes. So this should be removed for operation. So I'm going to pull this out. That's a breather vent, and this is in there for shipping. That's it. So when it's installed, that's the breather, and it should be open. Actually, I believe it tells you this right here. When you install it, that should be removed. So that's removed now and in good shape. Our Lovejoy coupling is in good condition, and we're going to leave that alone. So now we're going to get ready to install the pinion housing on top of this and get ready to assemble it. Okay, we have our housing, all fresh bearings ready to go. Everything's tight. So now we're going to put this guy back on here. And we need to indicate that the motor is fairly close to the way, actually it goes about like that. I believe that's the proper orientation.
Actually, this is going to rotate around a little more right there. Now we can take our bolts and get these started up here. Now we're going to assemble the top end here. That I tightened all these bolts up. We've checked the oil, everything's good. So now I'm going to slide this guy right on this shaft like that. And then always pay it forward. Put some anti-seize on this shaft in the keyway there. Now we're going to tap this down. Make sure you center the seal. Until it's all the way home, just like that. Now we're going to grease this O-ring on this seal. Every O-ring, every seal gets lube. And then this guy goes right in there, like that. This little guy needs a little love too. Just like that. Okay, so in the shop here, we're able to use a forklift to lift this motor. We get the forks up close to the floor of the machine. So you just got to kind of push it over there. Make sure you watch out for your safety wire back there. And then I'm just going to kind of walk it in. It's pretty darn close right there. My holes are close lined up. So now I'm going to use a probably a crowbar to get my airbags put underneath so we can raise this thing up, and then we'll get our bolts started. Okay, so the flange up here, I made sure it was good and clean. If you want to go the extra mile, I always like to chase these 12 by 1.75 threads with a tap, just so when we thread these bolts up in there, they go in nice and smooth, which I've already done. Make sure that's all clean, and now we're ready to lift this motor and put it back in place. Okay, so we got a little help here. I got a crowbar under the edge of this motor, and I got my air shims underneath the bottom here, so I need to lift this up. I'm going to lift it up. Here I go. And then we're going to slide those right underneath the motor, just like that. Now our airbags are under there. And now we're going to go ahead and lift this guy up. Actually, let's rotate this to line up the holes right about there. Gotta get it in the middle of the hole there. So I'm going to go up where it's almost contacting the flange, and then I'm going to get my bolts started. I'm going to have to rotate this a bit. It's a little tight quarters here. Okay, I got one started. This is where chasing those threads with the tap comes in real handy. All right, here we go. All the bolts are tight. Everything's good in place. All we need to do now is reconnect the electrical. Here we have our electrical box down here. Our fan is already hooked up. I referred back to my photos. Make sure I get all the wires put in the correct positions. So I'm just gonna take this last cover and put it on this box, and this thing's finished up. Okay, that's a wrap for this particular Vemag Tech tip of the day. We got the whole Infeed screw, drive motor, gearbox, everything serviced, bearings. Also, one thing I did want to mention, that the HP-25E, which this is, and the HP-30E are exactly the same parts, everything applies. So
Just take your time, don't get frustrated. Everything should go smoothly. Just be careful lifting that heavy motor. Like I said, if you can get another teammate to help you, that's all the better. So that's basically about it for this video. Make sure you tune in regularly as we are always making more content. Check in on our webpage, dhenryandsons.com. Go to the products tab, look at the videos under the products tab, and we'll be able to help you out. Thanks for watching.